Tuska 2018. This is 20 Seconds to Mars interview. Oh, just kidding. We were just joking prior to interview. This is a thrash classic from Germany. Everybody should know the band, but since we might have younger people in the audience, Kreator, one of the German thrash legends. So, Mr. Mille Petrozza, welcome to Tuska, welcome to Finland. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling great, man, actually.
You're in the grandpa age in terms of metal music, but you are still going great and lots of energy. What is your secret ingredient?
I even know some people that are have become grandpas from my generation of music. I won't mention any names, but I don't even have kids, so I'm. What was the question?
Well, how do you keep your energy levels considering that you're not 25 anymore?
I'm pretending. I'm pretending.
You're a good pretender then.
Yeah. I guess the music, keeps you young and fresh, and being like we talked earlier, being disciplined about poisoning your body. For example, I don't do that anymore. I used to when I was really young. Nowadays it's all yoga and health food and veganism.
This might be a shock news to people in thrash metal. I mean, yoga, smoothies, all that stuff, healthy stuff. What the hell is going on? Let me kill Mr. Many to go all the way to 70 with drugs.
I wanna keep doing this until I'm like very old. I guess that's the key. Just try to focus. Focus on what's important. And to me, the older I get, the more clear it becomes that the reason why I started this was the music and not abusing your body, not doing anything that's unhealthy, and not overdoing the partying, and just focus on the music. And that's, to me, what always was the most fun. Anyway, so I'm totally happy.
Do you think that the younger bands who are just, eager and willing to conquer the world, but they are also boozing, doing drugs and whatnot, do you think that they need to learn their lesson on their own, and once they are with their 40s or 50s, they start to figure out the same things, or is it actually possible to give these younger bands an advice like, don't do this and don't do that?
No. You should find out by yourself. There's nobody. I'm not gonna say do this or that. Everybody should just do whatever they want. That's my philosophy. Just go out and do stuff and find out for yourself. You might think that or you might believe when you're young, you think you're invincible. You feel you're strong and you can abuse and you can do drugs. You can drink everything. Whatever. And once you get older, you just feel like, man, it's not worth it. When I drink, I have a hangover the next day, so 2 days are gone. It's like, no,
Yeah, exactly.
No. I'm just do whatever you want, but just be careful. I don't want to preach. I don't want to preach. I don't want to push my lifestyle to other people. So I'm.
Since we're now already talking about serious topics like lifespan and healthy ways and unhealthy ways, do you think it's funny or ironic or just tragic that pop stars die already before they reach 30s, while metalheads get to see their 70s and they are still, doing gigs and metal albums and whatnot?
We just played in Copenhagen. We played with Ozzy Osbourne. We played right before Ozzy Osbourne, and I got the chance to see a little bit of his show. And that guy looks really healthy. He will turn 70 very soon, and to me that's like a nice example to do it with great, to age with grace. Yeah, absolutely. And I'd rather take this as an example than like whatever pop star is trying to kill themselves too early. I'm just not like that. So Ozzy Osbourne put on a great show. His voice was there. Zakk Wylde was killing it. So it was that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. It's like, fuck age, man. Just go up there and do it.
One could claim that we're actually living the golden era of metal, considering that we still have those old farts in the business, even they're 70s, and we still get, the kind of a middle-aged generation as yours. And then we have also the younger generation. Do you think this is the golden era, or is it just yet to come, or has it already passed?
This is it. Absolutely. there's so much energy in this scene. There's so many nice new talents. Just a band that I just discovered recently just played on the other stage, Carpenter Brut. They mix like French disco and Italian disco and imaginary movie soundtracks like from the Giallo era, from the 70s, 80s stuff. So there's still new things to come out from the genre.
But considering like thrash metal and also this kind of a retro synthwave stuff, do you think retro kind of music has become more of a, I don't know, fashion statement, but kind of a trendy thing to do?
There's always reasons. There's people that play a certain kind of music for whatever reasons. If it's, I don't know. I'm not the one to judge about trends, man. Trends come and go, and I think whenever you play music, try to play it from your heart and don't follow a trend. That always goes wrong. So to me, there's not such thing. I mean, if somebody's into retro music, whatever you're happy with, and to me, there's only a good and bad music. Or let me put it another way: good music and music that I don't like, because every kind of music has some. If as soon as somebody likes the music that's out there, then it's there for a reason. So to me, I have a certain taste when it comes to metal, when it comes to music in general, and that can be trendy music. It can be the latest trend, whatever, but there can also be a fucking, like, everybody's liking one band and I just don't get into it. So there's just no rules, just whatever. And that's how I see music in general. It's like either hits me or it doesn't, no matter whether or not it's trendy.
So one man's turd is another one's gold.
Absolutely.
All right. One friend actually reminded me of also a metal guy who once said that there are also good trends, like when people were just divorcing church, like state church, and becoming like free souls instead of following religion. Do you think there could be a good trend, like if say thrash metal got into the boost that was in the 80s? Could it be a good trendy thing?
I guess so. Yeah, I mean, there's certain things you could call it zeitgeist, which has influenced people in a positive way. So there's also negative energies that are influencing people, and I like whatever makes people happy is a good thing.
All right.
It can be trendy, whatever, If it gets you to the real stuff, it's, for example, say there's this trendy band. We've been playing with a couple of them on a couple of festivals, and there's this kid that is like 15 years old, and he's getting into this band, and then he finds out about bands that have started it, or maybe the ones that have more to say than just the real stuff. Then it's a good thing. Then it's a good thing that the guy is getting into metal because of this trendy band.
All right. One could say or claim that days of thrash metal has been like way overdue. I mean, the big four from United States, but also we have this big four from Germany, Sodom, Destruction, and I guess Tankard. But these are all these 8 bands. They are old as hell, and new thrash metal bands are not emerging.
To me, it's not about the age. Like I said, I mean, you can be, like in classical music, people are a lot older. There's a certain maturity to older bands that have been around. They're more experienced. So, I, for example, like the last Metallica record. It's a good record, considering how long they've been doing it. So, don't underestimate the power of the age, man.
No, man, I totally get you. I actually went to see Metallica like a couple of months ago, and it was a really killer show. And I know that
you know what I mean?
guys, yeah, I know, and I know you guys also make a great.
But I also know what you mean when you talk about the new generation. To me, there's like a band like Power Trip, for example. They have nice songs, They are not only a lot of the newer bands that come out. they only have the sound, the thrash metal sound. You know, you were asking about this particular genre, and there have been a couple bands in the past where I really dig the sound. Like, wow, this is great, man. They have the technique and everything and the skills, whatever. But a lot of the newer bands are missing the songs, and I think the band like Power Trip, for example, they do have songs, and this could be a nice new band for the next generation. So, like I said, I mean, you never know where it's coming from, but there will be other bands that are keeping this music alive, and the older bands also.
Exactly. There was this kind of talk, and I know I've been advocating it personally, but it seems like the big names of metal are in the generation that will never ever come again. I'm talking about like big names like Metallica and Iron Maiden, but also
For us,
you
because
guys
we're older, you know. But there's for the younger kids, there will be other bands. You know?
Will there be a new generation of bands such as this big size, or will it be just more bands but never reaching the level of this hugeness?
Depending on how you define hugeness. I mean, there's bands that have a very strong following, but they're still underground, capacity-wise. But there's bands that are huge, and to me, they don't do nothing to me. So,
do you listen much newer music, like newer metal
Yes.
bands? What kind of names? Can you name any?
no, too many. I like I've those bands are not new anymore, but I really like Sealant Ardor. I like Carpenter Brut. You know, I like some Mirkur stuff like that. I like Power Trip, for example. Those are fairly new, right?
Guess it how you define it.
Yes.
But what kind of music or bands or art in the first place inspire you to do more music?
It doesn't necessarily have to be music.
Yeah, but I mean like art, movies, books, whatever. What inspires you?
That's not. There's no formula. You know, there's no like formula where I sit down, read a book, and then there's a song. You know, that never happens. Sometimes I read a sentence. Sometimes I see a band live, and I'm like, this is so great. I gotta do it. You know, I gotta write a new song, and then there's no such thing as a formula where it could be a situation. It could be some enthusiastic conversation that I have with another metalhead, or just whatever. Their inspiration comes from so many different sources that there's no such thing as like I don't sit down at home and listen to some other band's music and go, I gotta rip off that song, or just, you know, that doesn't work like that. It's always like my view, my version of how I want metal to sound like in the year 2018.
2020.
You know, so I guess it's hard to answer this one.
Yeah, and there was one question from a fan, by the way, who said like, you should really ask the band, or at least you personally, that the lyrics have changed quite a bit. Like early 80s, you might have been, I don't know, judgmental maybe, but different views versus, you know, different groups of people, be it sexuality or whatever. And nowadays you're writing different kind of lyrics. How easy to sing those songs, you know, live, which have kind of different mindset versus the nowadays band?
Yeah, I know what you mean. When I wrote, for example, Flag of Hate, I was 15 years old. And when I play the song live nowadays, it feels kind of strange, but it feels great, because it takes me back to the time when I wrote it. When I write a song like nowadays, for example, Fallen Brother or Gods of Violence, Satan is Real, these songs have different lyrics, of course, but they reflect a different mindset that I'm in at this point in time. So, but it's all me.
So it's all about being honesty and authenticity.
Absolutely. Otherwise, it doesn't work. This music doesn't work any other way.
You've also changed your style in, like, let's say, at least a couple of times. First, you were creating this, German sound of the authentic German thrash metal, and like 10 years later, there was this different kind of creator. And now with your latest album, you were really strong, kind of one could say comeback, but of course you have been previously done already great albums. How do you feel nowadays, that changed era in the middle of your career?
It was a part of the history.
You just had to do it, even though it nowadays feel weird.
There's never any regrets. Sometimes I think if I look back on my back catalog, because we just did a couple of like remasters, and I had to, kind of look into this kind of this music that I created back then, and I just figured out that whatever I released on, say, Outkast, Cause for Conflict, all these records, was just necessary to get me where I'm now. So it's a part of my history. It's a part of me becoming the person I am today.
Are there any songs which you would absolutely nowhere, never gonna play?
Yes, there are.
Like which ones?
I can't tell you.
Give a couple of examples, just.
For example, there's a couple of songs that I wouldn't play for one reason. We were in the 80s. We were pushed to go into the studio every year, once a year, and we were already doing some intense touring back then. So I sometimes had to write songs without trying out the vocals. So some of these songs on, say, Extreme Aggressions or Coma of Souls, the way they are structured, I've never done lyrics and music at the same time. So I know that some of the songs on these records are so complicated to play and sing at the same time that I cannot perform them live. I could try, but now I have different songs, so this will never happen probably.
Could you imagine kind of redoing them in a way that they would keep the audience?
Oh, those songs are done, man.
How is your songwriting nowadays? Where you get your inspiration from, apart from the sentences we just talked about? But I mean, like, how easy to kind of make relevant creator these days?
It's about living with the music for a while. It's about recording a demo, listening to it while you're doing the dishes or whatever, and still liking these songs. And then I go and play them to the other guys. And then when they put their enthusiasm and their creativity into the arrangements and into the songwriting, then something magic can happen.
So we're reaching the end of the interview, even though I could ask you these questions like an hour. But what's going to happen with Kreator in the near future? What lies ahead?
More touring till the end of the year, and writing a new record. That's basically what we've been doing for the last 150 years.
Last 150 years.
Absolutely. And
What-
for the next 150 years.
What can we expect in like next 10 years to happen? Are you repeating?
More albums, and hopefully songs that live up to our legacy.
If you could choose one place, like any country, for example, or any particular club or stadium, I don't know, and any band in the world that is alive and kicking, that is, which one would you choose?
What do you mean, like?
Like any band to play a gig, is there in like a band that, like, I totally love the band, I would like to share the stage with?
Oh, you know what? We've done all that.
So you basically
we've played with our favorite bands. We've played with the bands that I've grown up with. When I was a kid, I would have never imagined to play a show, for example, with Iron Maiden, and we've done that. We've played with all the big ones, and I'm so totally happy.
So now that you've done and achieved everything, what there is to do?
Play more.
Play more. That is your. So, what are your best tips and hints for the new thrash generation to emerge? If there is any tips or ideas, like we're gonna retire in a couple of decades, you guys gonna pass the torch
I got 2 words for you: devotion and discipline.
Well, these are lots
He's
of.
the living example for what you have to do.
Oh, this is so flattering that you're just taking my lines and leaving me speechless. But what can we expect this year, 2018? What can a Kreator gonna offer? Just great tours and shows and.
That's basically it. That's what bands do, man.
Okay, now for your final yoga and smoothie tips. What are your healthy advice for other bands and audience?
Try ginger shots instead of coffee.
Ginger shots instead of
What a
coffee.
kick, man! What a kick.
What about both?
Both, yeah, even better.
All right. I guess we're pretty much done here. Thank you for your time. Excellent,
Thank you.
Excellent answers
right.
and great attitude. Check out Kreator. No matter how young you are, no matter how close-minded you are, these are legends the guys that made the German thrash metal, come real. So don't be a douchebag. Check out some good metal and hope you enjoy what you hear.
All right.